Hello, once again, everyone. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency, specializing in authors and musicians. Remember, we shine only when we make you shine. Call us today at 941-567-6193 or on the web at www.publicityworksagency.com. John Waite has always captured the moment through his songs, whether with the babies, like big hits like Everytime I Think of You, or with Bad English, like big hits like When I See You Smile, or on his own, Missing You and Change. Great songs. The experience of rock and roll glory came fast and furious for John Waite during the late 70s. His band, The Babies, captured all the excitement of hitting it big in America, hit albums, hit singles, and sellout concerts. Solo in the early 80s. John Waite's career ignited with the MTV radio staple Change, and then exploded with Missing You, a worldwide #1 smash that has become a pop rock radio staple. With more live shows and new music in the offing, John Waite continues to forge his own personal path, celebrating the present and engaged by the promise of the future. Please welcome legendary singer, songwriter, musician John Waite to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, John.
Hey, Ray. What's up?
You've done a lot, man.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you were reading that off, but I was trying to keep them straight face and not butt in. But yeah, it's been a life. It's been a life plus, Yeah.
Exactly. I got a couple of messages for you from some friends of mine and yours. First of all, give John my regards. The time I spent in his band are some of the best times of my musical life. He's fabulous. That's from Mr. John Reagan.
Oh, John's great, man. Tremendous bass player too. Very nice guy. Very nice.
Facebook friend. There's another one. Please give John my regards, Ray. It's been decades since we last spoke. What's the matter with you? He's always been one of my all-time favorite singers. Hope all is good with you. Cheers, Walter Stalker.
Oh, man. Fantastic.
Walt's a good guy. I really like him.
I haven't, do you know something? I haven't seen Walter face to face since 1981.
That's crazy. That happens a lot too, you know?
Yeah, I know. But you kind of, it was in a hotel bar in New York City. And wow. But he's a great guitar player.
Yeah.
I think without Wally being in the loop, the Babies would not have had the impact they had. He was the guy in the band that I could relate to the most. And we had the same roots. So every time he played an open D chord and then put something in the bass, I sat up straight. It was really and I think it was a two-way street for us,
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I talk to him from time to time. I mean, he's on Facebook, man. Just go on Facebook.
Yeah. No, everybody's on Facebook. Everybody's on Facebook. I mean, speaking of which, I'm on Facebook. Everybody out there, look me up. We got a list of dates and artwork and God knows what. It's the new cocktail party without showing up.
It is. Easy way to get a hold of people and catch up on things, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
I want to talk about your new EP.
Yeah.
Anything. I love it, man. It's awesome. I can't wait for the new album to come out as well.
Yeah, it's been a really, honestly, I didn't see it coming because this kind of stuff happens gradually. But last year I put out a triple acoustic record,
right,
called Wooden Heart 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And that, had some new cuts on it, and Dylan's Not Dark Yet, which was, really, I thought I kind of did all right with that.
Oh yeah.
And then we got this new 4-song EP, Anything. And if you download it off the internet, you also get Masters of War.
Right.
It's Bob Dylan's masterpiece, or one of his masterpieces. And then, we've been increasingly playing bigger gigs, and it's like when you look away from something and you look back at Twilight Zone, it's twice as big.
Yeah.
And I think unsuspectingly, it just suddenly turned into high gear. We're going out on a really big tour
Oh
in
yeah.
the summer with Rick Springfield and Men at Work.
Yep.
We're headlining shows in much bigger venues. We're going out on a, as usual, with my old friend Neil Giraldo and the lovely Pat Benatar.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, and then we're going to Holland, at the end of the year. And there's the Greatest Hits album coming out. So, it's not out of control. It's kind of right where I want it to be.
Sure.
But I landed on my feet this year. It's just been coming out and there's a documentary coming out.
Really?
A full-scale, big budget documentary. You'll probably see it on Netflix or something.
Oh, cool.
We're looking for well, I'm not looking, but the director and the company is looking for a distribution deal with a major cable company. So that's coming.
Yeah.
So 1 minute, with COVID, you're sort of sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
with a pot of tea or looking out the window or
Mm-hmm.
half a bottle of wine or whatever it is that you do to kill time. And then you turn around and it's all happening,
Yeah. Well, it was worth waiting for, I guess.
Hello.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the songs on this EP, Anything, it's a beautiful song. Your voice is better than ever, man. And, I was a DJ back in the late 70s. I was a top 40 DJ.
Wow.
And I can pick the hits, and Anything's definitely a top 40 hit. That's definitely.
Well, what's a hit these days?
I know.
You kind of look at it like,
Yeah.
It could be number one, and you think, well, what's number one?
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, I had a
Exactly.
I had a number one song with a song called Rough and Tumble on rock radio. And it didn't make any difference to anything. It just meant it got a lot of airplay
Right.
for that period. And then people move on so quickly now.
Yeah, they do.
I think the main R&B singers, the mainstream are, those wonderful singers, usually African American, but they have legit number ones. And there's, country artists that can sell. But in the old days, if you sold 500,000 copies, it was a good year.
Yep.
It was like a gold record.
Yeah.
That now is like selling triple platinum.
Yeah.
People, it's just a different life.
Yeah.
So, but I love the fact that you think it's a hit.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we're getting all sorts of airplay. So anything could happen.
That's good.
Yeah.
Here's a song I want you to talk about, Darling.
Yeah.
That's very cool guitar in that. Very interesting ending. And it talks about somebody nobody really talks about, Francois Hardy, the French the singer, that songwriter.
The French singer. It's a sort of a pastiche, as they say, of it's based on the Julie Christie movie that came out in the 60s about a lovely girl that steps into a world that's just wild, and it's the left bank, and it's sex, drugs, and without the rock and roll, really.
Yeah.
But I was trying to, there was this really lovely androgynous model that's like world famous, and she's really pretty. And she's bisexual and all that kind of thing. Oh, I think she's gay. But she's like completely beautiful. And she's steeped in that world. And I was watching it from a distance. And I'm thinking, man, that must be more than insane now, because there's probably more drugs, and there's probably more corruption. There's probably more temptation, because it's all waiting for you. It's almost like laid out in front, like you can do this, then you can do this, and you can go and do this.
Yep.
And a lot of these girls are really young, and it just is mind-blowing what happens. But it's also a beautiful world. It's just like a Charles Baudelaire poem or something. It's like, but Darling was based on that, and the guitar playing. I was trying every guitar player in the world, and I couldn't find anybody, me included, to play the guitar on the front. So the engineer in the end played the acoustic guitar.
Really?
And Anthony Crizan played the outgoing guitar solo, my old friend Anthony. So, and Neil Giraldo played keyboards.
Oh, did he?
Okay. Yeah. He came down one day. I was going, I can't finish this song. It's just not going right. And he went home, and being the great guy that he is, he sat down and wrote a piano piece that would solve the problem. And a lot of friends came to play on this EP, really.
Yeah. Great song. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Thank you.
Interesting. Also, another track, Lifeguard. That was a fun track, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, I mean, yeah. I mean, the shit that's going down in the world right
Yeah.
now. I was just like, oh man, you know, I'm very good at the blues, you know. I can sing about my life and talk about isolation and love and
Yeah.
a desire and stuff. And that's really probably been what people think of me but I was trying to do something here that would make someone smile, you know. It's
Sure.
summer and you're in Florida, I'm in California. People go to Ibiza and places like that, Madrid. They go to the sun for a holiday. And I wanted to write a song about being with the girl that you're most interested in. She's looking great in a bikini and you're like laying by the pool and you haven't got a care in the world, you know.
That's right.
And you're going to go out that night and have a couple of shots of tequila and probably dance on a table somewhere. It's a holiday, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like a cross between Lou Reed and who's the guy that writes all those beach songs? You know,
The Beach Boys?
no, that thing about, you know, last jig or assault.
Oh, yeah. Buffett.
Yeah, Jimmy
Buffett. Yeah.
Or if you were French, it would be Jimmy Buffet, you know.
Jimmy Buffet, yeah. Never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I know. But I was just trying to, and with anything too, you know, the other songs are dark, but I really wanted to come out two-fisted with something that might make somebody smile.
Yeah.
That's that simple.
Yeah, I love it. I thought beach right away. I said, man, this is great for Florida. You know?
Yeah. Well, thanks. Thanks, man.
Man, you were really pissed on Masters of War, weren't you?
Well, yeah, I was. I mean, the Ukraine, man. I heard Masters of War when I was 14, and I've said this before in interviews, but it's staggering to me that when I was a young, untried school kid listening to Masters of War, I was stunned by it. And all this time I've lived my life and I'm at the other end of it and I'm listening to it again and I'm just as put out, you know?
Yeah.
And I felt with the Ukraine being in such terrible straits and the mistake that Russia's made, that there's no end game.
Yeah.
You know, Putin isn't going to back away.
No.
And he can't possibly win.
Right.
If he gets in there and takes over, the Ukrainians will just snipe him into the ground, you know, so he can't win. And I wish the world would just send NATO in and just back up the Ukrainians. But that looks like they're just biding their time. But in the meanwhile, men, women, and children are being annihilated. It's genocide in our time. And the West should face up, grab its balls, and back up the free countries.
I agree.
This thing about, well, we can't do this because it's going to piss off. You know, fuck that.
That's right.
I'm sorry, but you know, fuck that.
Yeah.
We should be there and save these men, women, and children from being blown apart by a fucking maniac. You know,
for no reason.
Happening in real time in our lifetimes.
Yeah,
get it together. You know,
I know. You know, it's so different too. You know, when you look back at World War II and you know, the people in the streets, and we had a different picture there. But these people are they're us. They're just modern people, just like us, you know?
I know. It's like they're going about their lives. It's young teenagers falling in love for the first time.
Right.
It's like little boys delivering papers. It's mothers taking out their toddlers to buy them a balloon. And everybody's going to work. And then suddenly this giant shows up on your doorstep and starts killing people, civilians, murdering civilians. They're finding all sorts of like mass graves. I mean, the Russians have proved themselves to be absolutely not worth the salt that anyone's tears. And we should do something about this. Like, I
agree 100%, man.
I can't believe that Biden hasn't had more balls and gone in and done something.
Well, I'll tell you, Biden's a schmuck, and I'll say that right out loud. He's a buffoon.
Well,
you know,
I don't go for the left and I don't go for the right. I met Biden and I thought he was a pretty great guy. But the politics of the world are so twisted now.
They are twisted on both sides.
Yeah.
on both
there's no
sides.
middle path, man.
There isn't. I agree with you 100%. And unfortunately, nobody good comes up and
Yeah.
steps up to the plate because I guess you need a lot of money to do it.
Well,
You know?
yeah. Like the Kennedys had an enormous amount of money and an
Yeah.
influential father, and they got Jack into
Yeah,
into
exactly.
the White House. But it takes more than a great soul, and to move people in masses to go and vote for something. There's such a lot needs to be done now, and nobody can agree on just getting it done. It's
Yeah.
always about money. It's always about real estate.
And it's about politics.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if the other side has a great idea, they're going to
yeah,
kill it.
yeah.
Right?
It's like, it's about being pro party and not pro country.
It's very stupid.
Shameful.
Very
Shameful.
stupid people that run this country.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
They're idiots.
yeah. It's the same worldwide, man. Most
Yeah.
world leaders are gangsters,
They are gangsters.
and they got there through the worst way you can imagine.
Yeah. Maybe the mafia should take over. I don't know.
Well, that's an Austria, baby.
That'd be different.
Yeah, it's the neighborhood thing. They look after their own.
That's right. Get
You
the
know,
Sopranos in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I just don't see how they can live with themselves. Patrick, McConaughey went to Texas and made this impassioned speech about just at least let's do background checks
Right.
when you buy an automatic weapon, and people
Ridiculous.
are fighting that.
They're fighting that.
Some lunatic goes in and says, "Yeah, I'd like a Mickey Mouse hat. And I'd like 500 rounds of open pointed bullets and this Sten gun.
A couple of hand grenades.
Yeah, hand grenades. And 2 hand grenades and oh Christ, wild shit.
Usually I don't like to talk politics, but we don't need assault weapons,
No, we just don't.
Get a hunting rifle's okay, a handgun's okay, but you don't need a machine gun, man. Come on.
You don't need a machine gun for regular everyday things.
No.
The only thing I'm thinking of is that the people want to, if the government gets too much, they want to take the government back. That's what I was thinking, that the heavy right want to know that they've always got, but it's just not right.
It's not right. The bottom line is the extremists feel like the government may take over one day, take their guns away, and I don't know, put us in concentration camps or something. That's what they're afraid of. It's not going to happen.
No. It's like Ukraine. People just fight back till they get back their freedom.
There's enough Americans that have guns. They won't go down. They'll go down fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if it's a pistol or a rifle or a shotgun,
exactly,
they would annihilate anybody coming to take away that.
That's right.
Freedom. We just don't need the average Joe in the street to have,
of course not,
some massive military weapon that is going to take into a school and kill our children because he's had a nervous breakdown.
Exactly.
And the children that are so vulnerable now.
They are vulnerable.
And we're losing so many children.
I've got 5 grandkids, man, and they're all young, and I'm terrified for them to go to school.
It shouldn't be like that.
Shouldn't be like that. No. We have a lot of issues in this country. There's a lot of things that happen in this country that do not happen in other countries, and that's a fact.
If you go to Australia, they've got kind of gun laws, and the rates of murder are incredibly low.
Right.
And they have this capitalist government, but it's got governors on it. It can't get out of control where businesses take over politics.
Right.
And if you've ever been to Australia, they're the most even-tempered, happy, warm, welcoming bunch of people, and they're liberal, and they like what they like, and they have a great life. I mean, Australia, man, it's a great country.
New Zealand also. Norway, Switzerland, those places are great.
Yeah.
And if you go to Costa Rica, I believe at their banks, they got a guy with a machine gun. They won't let anybody rob their bank. I mean, they know how to handle the situation, to protect people.
Yeah. Well, security would be great everywhere now. I mean, New York City is becoming like the Wild West. It was like that in the 60s, but I mean, now it's just crazy people doing crazy shit and nowhere's safe. I mean, it's like Upper East Side. There's stuff going on that you wouldn't believe.
Look what happened in Vegas. The loony guy that just open fired on that
Oh,
concert, you know?
oh, yeah.
I bet you get nervous when you go out there.
No, I don't. No, I really don't. It never
Yeah,
occurs to me. I'm kind of really concerned with the music. And
yeah,
once you get out there, it's you're flying. I don't stop to, you just don't, honestly, you get so involved in the performance and the
right.
audience, you're not thinking ahead of anything.
You know, I always say that the Matrix has changed, and I think the Matrix changed when John Lennon got
Yeah,
assassinated. That's when
yeah.
it started, you know. And then of
Yeah,
course
I
911.
I
But
totally agree with that. And
yeah,
we didn't have the national upset since
hmm,
till 9/11 after
yeah,
that. But
exactly.
everybody stopped what they were doing and did a lot of introspective thinking, and
Yep,
it really moved people. It nauseated. It was a terrible crime against somebody that was going to lead us out of the bullshit, and there was
yep,
a poet and just a tremendous example of how to live in a world. Imagine there's no, I mean, it's
yeah,
just beautiful. And some idiot shot him. They
unbelievable.
always do. And I don't think the free world, the modern world, stopped for pause until 9/11
Right.
after that. And the same thing happened. We went like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And everybody sort of reconfigured how they saw the people.
Yeah, one thing we can never forget. I hate sometimes we move on, and I understand sometimes why they do that because life's so short and you don't want to be nailed down on all the bad stuff, but we can't
Yeah.
forget things like that, you know?
So, well, it's like, we're going into politics again though,
I
but
know.
it's like tearing down monuments
Hmm.
to people that owned slaves or were racist.
Right.
If you take the example that happened away
Right.
from people's eyes, they forget about it and it comes back up again.
Exactly.
You know
You got to
what?
have those
What's
reminders.
that?
Yeah.
It's like the Confederacy.
Yeah.
There's statues all over the South of Robert E. Lee, and it was a proponent, that
Hmm.
government,
Hmm.
of slavery, and
Hmm.
we should look at that and go like, oh yeah, slavery.
Yeah.
No, no. But if you take the statues away, nobody talks about it.
It's true.
It comes around again.
I
So I
mean,
mean, everybody's got an opinion. I don't know.
yeah, me and you learned about all that stuff in our history books. I mean, they drilled all that stuff. We learned about all that, but I'm afraid today they're not going to be, as proactive teaching all that
Yeah,
in
everybody's
schools.
got an opinion about not teaching kids
Not
this
teaching. Yeah.
and indoctrinating kids with stuff that kids shouldn't be exposed to.
Yep.
A kid is a kid.
A kid is a kid.
Let it
Exactly
be.
right.
All this stuff about you got to teach them about this and
Yeah.
rights for this, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
man, they haven't even reached puberty. Let it
Exactly.
be children.
Yeah.
Hey,
My favorite lyric, I think, from Masters of War is "You play with my world like it's your little toy," and that's exactly right, isn't
isn't it?
it?
I mean, the fact that somebody thinks that they go home and they sleep perfectly.
Hmm.
They've just done something that's going to annihilate, you know, a, a, a a culture
Yeah.
or free speech,
Hmm.
and it's all done for money.
Yep.
And they don't seem to worry about their children or their children's children. It's just money.
It is. It's all about money. You can't take it with you, man. You know, you can't
No.
take all the possessions with you. Life is too short. It's
Yeah.
very short. I lost so many friends already.
Yeah.
It's
Me
pretty
too.
sad. Yeah.
You just look. You just think I've got 10 years to do this.
Yep.
I'm going to live it the way I want to live it. I've always kind of done that. I've always thought that you walk the walk on stage,
Right.
walk the walk off stage.
Yep.
You know, I mean, there's only, truth isn't necessarily relative,
Hmm. Right.
open-handedness,
Yep.
just being a decent cat.
Exactly. That's all that. Yeah. That's it. That's why people say the '60s were a bad time. That's bullshit. I lived through the '60s, and yeah, we had some bad times, but there's a lot of good things that happened in the '60s. The
Yeah.
peace and love.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's that great, 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 great Elvis Costello song.
right.
What's your funny about peace, love, and understanding. I mean,
Right.
if you wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and dance around in your shorts, there isn't a better song.
Sure.
And you know, I mean, and that was written at the height of the punk movement when
Yep.
hippies were a joke.
Yeah.
And then Elvis comes out with Nick Lowe, and they do that.
Yep.
And just fuck it. If that isn't rock and roll, I don't know what.
Yeah, those guys are cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got this tour coming. I wanted to ask you about the album cover. What's the significance of the album cover?
Well, the guy that does my artwork,
Right.
Steve Wiggs, he rang me up from Jersey and said, "We haven't got an album cover for this EP." And I had him on the phone, and I thought, well, he's right. I just wanted John Waite, like my logo is capital letters John Waite.
Right.
I just wanted that, and then anything underneath it, like a rubber stamp or something, you know. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, do an album cover. I'm an artist, you know.
Sure.
So I have this shoebox full of bits and pieces, buttons, badges, keepsakes, ribbons, bus tickets, you know, things from my childhood, bottle caps that I found in the street.
Yeah.
And I keep them all together because they're nice looking things. So because they've been cast away, they have their own beauty.
Sure.
You know, so I went in the back room, got the box, came out here, got a canvas. This is it, you know, and threw the stuff down on the canvas, moved it around. I have this statue of Napoleon somebody gave me in Britain, and I put that in the middle, and I took a picture. Now I took another picture and sent it to the guy in Jersey, and that was. But I mean, it was great. I mean, the little of my life from when I was a child. There's a Mickey Mouse watch in there somewhere, and a picture of my girlfriend, and I thought it was actually pretty cool.
It's
you know,
very
I mean,
clever. Very
it's
clever.
one of those inspired moments, and it worked. Yeah.
All the trinkets of your life, you know.
Yeah.
I do that too. I collect things like that too.
Well, it's hard to throw them away.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I got a little rat. You remember the rat finks back in the 60s? You used to get from the gumball machine. I got one of those guys because I used to collect the rat finks, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got a Mickey Rat button.
A Mickey Rat button.
Yeah. It's on the prototype. It might be on the internet somewhere. In the bottom of the frame, it says Save Tibet. And then that button was put in afterwards because I wanted that instead of Mickey Rat. But it was a Mickey Rat button. You know, I thought that was cool too, but good stuff.
That's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I want to mention Win Heart, your acoustic anthology, which is 3 volumes, right? There's 3 volumes of that. That's fantastic. You got some good music on that as well.
Well, that was like a greatest hits as well as a look back at the lyric driven songs, you know. And to finish it off, like I said before, we did Dylan's Not Dark Yet, which is a existential blues, you know. It's that's a heavy song, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, Dylan.
Dylan's a great writer, you know, but I like other people singing his music.
You know, there's the question about his voice and all that. But to me, he is incredibly brilliant as a singer because he doesn't hit all his high notes. He never did. The melodies are very simple. He very rarely writes a bridge in a song.
Yeah.
You know, my love speaks like silence. It's like, wow. And just about everything he's ever done, you know, but his singing is open to interpretation.
Yeah.
I mean, I took Masters of War and I was fucking furious when I sang it. And
I love it. You're great doing that too, man.
Yeah, no, but it was like 9 a.m.
Really?
And I was angry at the world, man. I was Ukraine and
comes through.
Yeah, but it was you motherfuckers, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, like with Girl from the North Country, I cut that years ago. His original version, he sounds like he's reading a menu. It's like, should I get the eggs or should I get, you know, he's like disinterested kind of. If you're traveling in the North Country and that's what makes it heartbreaking.
Right.
like
Right.
he's cauterized,
Yep.
you know, like he's so injured.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to be like nonchalant
Mm-hmm.
about something that's taken his world and killed it. And
Right.
he's, say hello for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I gave it probably more twists and turns melodically, because that's what you do when you do somebody else's song. You
Mm-hmm.
reinterpret it. I don't want to sound like anybody else. I'll
Yeah.
do it. But when you look at what he did when he sang it, it's so, he doesn't want to look like he's heartbroken.
Right.
That's performances.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Oh.
Yeah.
So Dylan to me is a masterful singer,
Right.
absolutely masterful.
Have you met him? Have you met
Yeah.
Dylan? Yeah.
Once in Tokyo, I was going into the hotel lobby of the
Mm-hmm.
hotel, and there's Dylan in a white suit, sat
Mm-hmm.
in the restaurant, surrounded by about 200 Japanese people,
Really?
and he sat by himself.
Hmm.
And my manager knew Bob and Bobby, and he
Bobby
took
Zimmerman.
yeah. And he took me over and said, "Hey, Bob, how you doing?" And Bob was having a martini. I think he
Yeah.
had tremendous jet lag, and he'd come down to have a couple of hits, try to get to sleep. But he stood up and he said, "This is John," and and we shook hands, and I had a few words about, how you doing, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a very nice guy. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I get the awful feeling, I mean, we have all these wonderful, wonderful artists, and they're all in their 80s now,
I know.
or they're about to be, like Keith Richards.
Yeah.
And any second, in the next decade, probably, we won't have them. And he's trying to imagine a world without Steinbeck and without
Right.
Hemingway and without Edgar Allan Poe. Or, I mean, there must have been a time when that loss, you have to just go like, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to imagine a world without those prophets.
It hurts.
Like John Lennon, he was a prophet,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he led the people, and then
Yeah.
some nut kills him. But I mean, it's hard to let go of people like that.
It is. It is. We just lost Alan White from Yes. That hurt. I was a big Yes fan. I like prog
You like
rock.
dog? Yeah,
I love
yeah,
prog. You know.
yeah.
Yeah. And my hero is Ian Anderson, and I just interviewed him for the third time not long ago, and I told him, I says, Ian, you're my all-time rock hero. He says, oh, I bet you say that to all the girls, don't you?
Did he say that? Oh, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when people like that go, man, I don't know what it's gonna be hard.
Oh,
It's gonna be very difficult.
like flies. Every day you
Yeah.
read the paper and somebody's just died.
And some of these guys young,
Yeah, I know. I've lost a lot of friends
Me
who
too.
died,
Yeah.
and it wasn't necessarily living hard. They just
No.
died, you know.
Things
And
happen.
some of the dearest friends I had that I played with,
Right.
they always come up in the conversation. I mean, at least
Yeah.
once a week. I
Right.
miss, you know.
Yeah. Me too. My best friend died of suicide. It was very
Really?
hard. Yep. Miss
Yeah.
him every day, man. And sometimes, I just don't have the friends I used to have anymore. Oh, just you guys, just the
Well,
rock legends.
yeah, but, hey, no, but the music thing. That's when you go home at night, you have all that music in your head, and you can
Yep.
play music, and it's like you are. When I listen to John Lennon, he's talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
and Bob Dylan's talking to me.
Yeah,
It's an intimate, hardcore conversation,
that's right.
and you're never alone if you understand what you're listening to.
Sure. Exactly right.
Yeah.
I want to mention you're going to be at Ruth Eckerd Hall in Clearwater. I cover
Yeah.
Clearwater.
Yeah.
You're going to be there on August the 4th. You've played Ruth Eckerd before. It's always
It's great. It's my favorite gig in America.
and Men at Work will be
Yep.
there with you on that gig.
We're-
That's going to
we're
be
open.
awesome.
We're doing an acoustic opening set, because the night after,
Mm-hmm.
both Men at Work and myself are opening for Rick Springfield on a nationwide tour. But since I last did an interview, I'm bringing a drummer. We're going to have percussion because we're going to do it unplugged, just out there.
Okay.
But I can't be bothered. The band is so good at the moment. We're absolutely killing it. And we're a band. And,
Good.
that's the end of it. I'm bringing the drummer. So we'll have
Good.
percussion. It'll probably rock,
Awesome. I wanted to ask you about something you said in another interview, that you left the babies after that one performance where you got hurt on
Yeah.
stage, right? That was it for you, huh? That was the
Well, no, I was actually, Jonathan Cain had joined Journey. He was just
right.
time. And I'm not going to refigure the band twice,
Yeah.
and we're having all sorts of trouble with the record company. They couldn't put the records in the stores or whatever. We were playing the same gigs twice a year instead of going in once every 2 years. We were just going back on the road to try and make ends meet. It was it was done. And John Lennon had been shot the
Yeah.
night before, and I was kicking stuff. I was so angry. I was throwing myself into stuff. I wasn't punching walls because I never dug that kind of behavior. But on stage, I was certainly just beside myself with that. And I spun around on stage, and my knee didn't go with me. And it tore all the cartilage in my left knee. And I went down like a sack of potatoes, as we say in England.
Right.
And we went on to Akron for the next gig. I got halfway through the show and I just blacked out, and that was
Really?
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the last straw.
It was like, there was no decisions after that. I was just I went to New York for surgery.
Yeah.
And it was Christmas, and it was terrible because of Lennon.
Yeah.
Everybody was just in a dark, dark, dark place. And I spent about a week in hospital, and then about 3 days on the Upper West Side of New York. My manager let me stay at his apartment while he was out of town, and I saw New York, excuse me, through my own eyes without a band being with me, and I fell in love with New York. And that was when I decided somewhere in the future I would come back to live in New York.
Yeah.
I really did fall in love with it. New York City is like profoundly beautiful to me. So, and I came back about 5 months later to make my solo album. But at that particular time, I really didn't have any plans to go solo. I was just worn out.
Yeah.
The band wanted to keep going, but the band wasn't. I was working 7 days a week, and I was fronting the band, and I was doing the interviews, and I was, getting it on with the business end, trying to make it all work. And it just, I was worn out. I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys did it, man.
Yeah, I know.
It was touring tough. And, from one town to another town and getting on stage from the airplane, it's
it's a young man's game at that point.
Right.
But now it's easier because we're not beating ourselves up.
Yeah.
If you want a glass of wine, you wait till you got a day off tomorrow.
Right.
And you get straight from the gig in the van and you go back to the hotel, or you go to a restaurant or whatever it is. But you really try and get as much sleep as you can.
Yeah.
Without sleep, man, you ain't going to make it.
Exactly.
And it sounds like a Bing Crosby way to approach rock. No, but if you don't save your voice, you won't have one.
That's right.
It takes a lot, but you got to take care of yourself.
You got it harder than anybody. I mean, with a bad voice, it's very noticeable.
Yeah, I've gone out there with the flu.
Yeah.
And you just croak along.
It's
and
very hard.
Solos. I mean, me and Bad English, we did a gig somewhere.
Yep.
And I had really bad flu. Yeah. And I'm like almost hallucinating backstage. I'm like wet through. I'm like feverish,
Yeah.
And the show must go on. And we got on stage and it was best of what I got, whatever. And I just kept looking at Neil like, solo. Come on, man. Do that drum solo you do so well.
Cover me up.
yeah. And it worked. We got through it. But man, when you're sick on the road and you're a singer,
it's horrible.
Well, horrible. I mean, you got all these semis and all these amplifiers and band members and roadies, and
Yeah.
it's all gonna work for a set of vocal chords.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these very, anything can happen to a set of vocal chords,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is contingent on me
Mm-hmm.
being healthy.
That's right.
So it's in the old days you'd rip it up and not really care about it, but these
Yeah.
days take it very seriously. You know,
I noticed. I talked to Barry Hay from Golden Earring, the lead singer.
that's my favorite band in the world, man.
Really, I
Yeah.
love him too. I asked him the question. I said, on the Midnight Special, I noticed some of the parts were sung by your guitar player. What happened there? And he told me that his voice was hurting him so bad he couldn't continue, and then he took his parts during the
Yeah.
Midnight Special because I
Yeah.
noticed it right away.
Well,
Other
George,
people probably wouldn't, but I noticed it right
these
away.
are great vocals. These, I mean, like George has
Hmm.
a very
Right.
different voice to Barry,
Yep.
and George hasn't been well, and it's kind of like
No, I
it's a
know.
very sad thing.
Yeah.
But I sometimes get a text off Barry, and I'm such a big fan of that band.
Yeah.
I mean, everything they ever did. They're Dutch, but they're super bright, and
Hmm.
the subject matter of the songs and the way they played it, it isn't just Twilight Zone. It's Radar Love and all that. It's just, I mean, they really are. Oh, they were. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like at some point, man, it's good to say that's enough.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna go out on a high note. But I wish George hadn't got sick, and I wish
I
him
know.
send him some love somewhere from me and you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you talk to Barry? I know Barry, he lives in Curacao. He's got a
Yeah.
place in
No,
Curacao.
once
Yeah.
in a while, I'll
Yeah.
get, hey, what you doing? And he recommended a book once to me, City on
Mhm.
Fire, I think it was.
Yeah.
I went and bought it the same. He's, I love those guys. The bass player's phenomenal too.
They're
I
all
mean,
great. Great musicians.
anybody that plays a down electro is a king in my book. But all of them, George's guitar playing.
Hmm.
There's an album called To the Hilt.
Hmm.
That's got a song called Violins,
Hmm.
and they're playing against it. It's just so clever. And then Barry comes in singing about going to listen to a Paganini concert.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck is that? I mean,
Exactly.
it's like high art, and
Yeah.
yet it's really dirty rock. It always sounds to me like the first Beatles album. It's like, do you know that George played guitar on Shocking Blues' "I'm Your Venus"?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was the most sought
Huh.
after session player in Holland.
I didn't know that.
Everything he did, it
Huh.
was you couldn't do it better than George. So it's a shame to lose his talent.
When I think it was the 50th anniversary, I did a special on Golden Earring because they didn't get a lot of press here in the United States after, for a long time anyway. So because I wanted to come out and tell people, this band has been around before the Beatles,
Yeah.
the early 60s, and a lot of people didn't know that.
No, I think it was the oldest, excuse me, surviving rock band.
That's right.
Wall of Dolls came out somewhere in the 60s, and that was.
That's right.
But there's but it's a great legacy. They never
Yes, it
lost
is.
the plot, But they
Yeah.
had Radar Love when they had it,
Yep.
massive song. And then 10 years later or whenever, they had Twilight Zone,
Hmm.
and more hits.
Yeah.
But they interestingly enough, they stopped touring. They stopped touring outside of Holland, Belgium,
Yes.
Germany.
That's right.
They could make a great living, be with their families,
Right.
and they thought, "Fuck it, man, we've done
Yeah.
it once,"
Yeah.
And they just, I love that too. They remind me of painters,
Hmm.
like very
Hmm.
gifted painters
Yeah.
in a workshop of painters. They're
Yeah.
like an art movement,
Exactly.
and exquisite, man,
Yeah.
exquisite.
They got some good videos out there too, live performances.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of them are on YouTube.
yeah. No, it made me laugh the other day. I was just checking that out, and
Yeah.
it's got them. I think they're doing Twilight Zone on Midnight Special or something.
Right.
But they all run out, and they're like running really fast. And then Caesar kicks it off like faster, and they're all really wired, you know. And the bad boys, you know, they've obviously been at it before they came out on stage, but they can't wait to play. And it's fast, you know,
Yeah.
it's of its time, you know.
Yeah, great band. They should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for sure.
Oh man,
But you
they're
know,
not.
no,
They're not in the Rock
they're
and
not
Roll.
there. No.
Wow.
Guys like Jethro Tull are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You think Golden Earring will be? You know?
Well, I think to
Yeah.
get into the, you know, Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo just got in.
Yeah.
That was very well deserved.
Right.
They've worked so hard since I met Neil. I met him in 1980. But man, they worked hard all their lives and delivered shows, you know, and it's finally got them in there. But
I agree.
I mean, it's just rough, man. I mean, it's generally, if you don't make a lot of money, you're not welcome in it.
Yeah.
Because the business in itself,
True.
and the managers and the agents, they're the ones who get you into it.
Right.
To make more money. It's corrupt.
You know, another one of your bandmates I had on my show as well was Tony Brock.
Oh yeah, how was
another good guy. So I've had quite a few of the babies on my show.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what's interesting? Bad English. You guys were Journey.
Well, we weren't really. They had meaning.
Almost.
More lyric driven, I would like to say. I think
Yeah.
it was a bit more blues. I mean, it was a different thing.
But you
I mean,
had all the band members, just about.
Yeah. We had Ricky, man, and that was great to work with Ricky again. He was such a great guy.
Yep.
With Styx now, so
Yeah.
the story goes on. It's
The
almost
story goes on, huh?
Yeah.
I wanted to mention the songwriting. And I got a little note here, if I can find it, about songwriting.
Yeah.
The songwriting process. You said, I only really write when I'm confronted with something in my life. I don't write for kicks. It's not like I sit down and try and write a song for somebody. I admire that. You know, and there's also the songwriters that they will write just based on, you know, words that rhyme, you know, and play on words. I hear a lot of songwriters do that. You know, they just do it on play on words, but it doesn't come from here, you know.
Well,
very interesting.
You can do both. If you listen to Dylan, not that I would in a million years try and explain Dylan's songwriting, but it's selection, man. It's like that, all those little trinkets and badges and toys that I've got in the basin or the shoebox that I made the album.
Right.
It's like which ones you use.
Right.
And a lot of bands just grab a handful and say, you know, I love you. You're a rockin' babe. Let's go to the zoo.
Yeah.
Because, baby, I love you. You know.
That's a hit.
You know, hey, whoa. Or there's like, baby, I love you. The world's a zoo. You know, it could be, there's different ways of doing it.
Right.
And there's such a lot of people that just haven't got that talent. But that's for a different audience.
Right. Exactly.
If you want to be mainstream, being bland or being putting stuff out that you don't have to question, that's where you need to be. But I think being mainstream is a sellout.
Right. I agree.
I think it's a choice you make.
Yeah.
Just to fucking give them the big picture with bright colors and you know, and saying absolutely nothing. And when somebody leaves the band, you get somebody in that looks like him and all that kind of. It's like it's business.
Yeah.
You know, I can't. I just, you know, I've had a wonderful life doing the wrong thing. I have. I just done whatever I thought was right. And if you didn't like it, next time, wish you well. Goodbye.
You made another comment. I pushed back big time on fame and tried to create a niche where I could just write and create and have a really cracked band and just be an artist. Is that true that you pushed back time on fame? Yeah.
I think with Missing You, that was the thing. It was like I went from being an obscure singer that people respected with the baby to being world famous.
Right.
In a week. And my privacy mattered to me. I was married at the time. I didn't want my wife exposed to all that. I was trying to avoid the press. Instead of coming out the front of the hotel and going like, oh no, stop.
Mm-hmm.
This girl isn't a stripper. She's, I would go out the back door. I really would try and avoid it. And I handled it really well, I think. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So it isn't like I hit a wall. I just said, no, thanks. That's great. Thanks so much.
Right.
But and then I was great in my career. I was just having a ball doing what I wanted to do. But with bad English, that was expected of me too. And I did my best for about a year and a half of showing up, doing multiple interviews, being on TV, being interviewed on TV. And I was quite a colorful person, still am. I suppose I was interesting to the press. But there was a point when you go home and you lock the door and you really want to go to sleep, or you want to take a week off, and the phone rings.
Right.
And the person on the other end of the phone doesn't care if you're exhausted or you have to be in London tomorrow for midnight, because this is, and it's like, no.
Right.
It was great fun to do it for a short period of time. But then I want to go home and light a fire, open a bottle of wine, be with the girl, whatever. I need to have that. But with bad English, it wasn't. It was every day the phone was ringing. And I had to go and do something, whether it was write songs or be interviewed or travel abroad to do a press. And in the end, the candle goes out. You're just exhausted.
Get burnt out.
Yeah.
You got kind of the Johnny Depp kind of attitude, I think. He's kind of like that, I think. He doesn't, I don't think he cares about fame that much.
He's very, very good at what he does. I mean, he's a great actor. The Libertine is a really good movie. If you ever get a chance to watch The Libertine.
I watched most of his movies,
Wow. Yeah, but he's really a clever guy. And I think he's a great-hearted guy. And I think he's honestly a kind, sweet person.
Yeah.
And I think there's something innocent about him. And he doesn't care about money. He doesn't care about anything. He just lives his life the way he wants to. He's like a bohemian.
Yeah, exactly.
Amber Heard was on the front of the paper today,
really
saying it's all bullshit and that she was like. And Johnny, a couple of days ago, I think he's going to waive the 8 million. And she hasn't even got the sense to say thank you, John. I just saw that and thought, well, you can't resist, can you? You're lost.
Yeah, he just wanted his reputation back. He didn't care about the money.
Yeah, and he's got it, and now, and he was going to pay or waive the 8 million so that he could go broke. I mean, that's the most lovable thing in the world he could have done. I said to my master at a gig last week, if Johnny Depp waives that debt, the world will take him back with open arms, and he's going to do it. And today she's in the paper saying, it's bullshit. I need this. And you just look at it and go like, well, obviously the right person won.
Yeah. And he's going to be Captain Sparrow again.
I think so. Amazing. 1 minute when you're in the shit, everybody's saying like, no, we wouldn't work with John now. He's,
something. Yeah.
And then as soon as he's get his back on his feet, it's like, we love John.
Exactly.
That's like the music business.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
He doesn't watch any of his movies. He says, my work is done. Why should I? I don't, and I'm the same way. I don't listen to any of my interviews. I got, thousands of interviews, but I never listen to them.
That documentary, the documentary that's coming out, The Hard Way, at the end of the year.
Right.
They sent me a copy 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it took 3 months for me to watch it. I just wouldn't watch it. I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have an opinion about it. I didn't want to anybody up and say, hey, I look bad in 3 minutes and 34. You might want to take that. It's like I thought it's warts and all, If I said fuck, if I fall over, if you catch me after drinking too much wine or whatever it is, smoking a cigarette. My girlfriend was on it and she's like saying all this crazy shit about me. But I leave it in. It's more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. People write about me, and I don't even pay attention to it.
Well, you shouldn't.
Nah.
Everybody sees you differently.
Yeah,
Nobody's right. The only person that really knows who you are is you.
yeah, it's true. And
Yeah.
I always, comment or write about if it comes right from the artist, it's okay. I don't make anything up. I don't have any fake news at all. So there's no reason why to, tell me I'm wrong. Listen to the interview, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
Free speech.
What was your first concert that you ever
Um,
went to?
a band called Family.
Yeah,
Uh,
I remember Family. Yeah.
oh, it was a religious experience. I was 15,
Mm-hmm.
and we heard they were coming to town, and there was a tremendous amount of interest, and I had no idea what they were going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
But that was revelatory. I mean,
Right.
I actually wrote a review of that gig for a magazine, and I swear to God, it turned me inside out. And I was hip to all the bands that were playing and
Mm-hmm.
had some sort of a record collection and adored music. But seeing that was the first band that blew my mind. And it was
Wow.
like, but Lancaster University used to have, I saw the Who, the Who on the Tommy tour, and I saw Free
Mm-hmm.
with two different bass players, with Tetsu and Andy Fraser. I mean,
Right.
and Paul McCartney played that. I missed that. But I mean, the musical education that I had was triple authentic. I got to see all these bands when they were just touring their brains out.
Family. I'm trying to. United We Stand. Was that them?
No,
That wasn't them.
no,
Okay.
no. You're thinking, what I mean? No, that's somebody else.
Yeah.
Our family were a jazz rock band from Leicester,
Okay. All right.
and they had Weaver's Answer,
Mm-hmm.
and they went on to be a band called Streetwalkers.
Right.
And Roger Chapman was like a man possessed on stage. He has an incredibly violent voice. Yeah, check it out. They had an album. Their first album was called Music in a Doll's House,
Mm-hmm.
and the Beatles were going to call, I think, the White Album was Sergeant Pepper. I think we're going to call it Music in a Doll's House,
Mm-hmm.
and based, I think, on Chekhov or whatever it is. But they couldn't because Family had used the time, and the Beatles actually went to go and see Family.
Really?
They
Oh,
were that influential. They were the
yeah.
band that almost made it, that should have been Jake and all the hippies. It's like the Incredible String Band. Do you remember
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yeah, I remember them. Sure.
Oh boy, they were great
Yeah.
too. But
Yeah.
I mean, they were on that level. Everybody had a Family album,
Right.
Incredible String Band album,
Mm-hmm.
and they were right up against Sticky Fingers
Mm-hmm.
and Let It Be or whatever. I mean, it's like, they were very important bands.
Those are the good old days, man.
A lot of
Uh,
great bands. A lot of
great,
great bands.
great radio back then.
Yeah.
Great concerts. Cheap ticket prices.
It wasn't big business,
No, no. John, here's your final question, and I ask everybody this question. I get some very interesting answers.
Yeah.
If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
Wow.
I mean, it could be Beethoven,
Oh, I see what you're saying. I like Eric Satie. I think he's a really beautiful composer.
Okay.
Gymnopody is a magnificent piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
But in the rock and roll, there's so many people that I admire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan as well,
Oh, sure.
I've got to jam with Pete Townsend, Steve Marriott, Stevie Wonder, and they were
Wow.
genius. But I've never wanted to be in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I was very happy to be who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe John Mayall. I met John in a hotel lobby about 4 years ago, and I actually walked up and asked his bass player, who was stood next to him, if it was okay to speak to John. And John was I tried to respect.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually asked me to come and sing at one of his shows, and I was like away somewhere. But
Hmm.
John Mayall had an enormous impact on me. And it wasn't just the Beano album, Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton.
Right.
It was Bare Wires, and it was the live albums, and it was Hard Road and Crusade. Um, I knew all those songs. And I told him, I said, without you, I wouldn't be a singer.
Hmm.
And you are the most influential musician I've ever experienced, because it was the blues.
Yeah.
I knew about Big Bill Brunsey. He was
Hmm.
big in my family.
Hmm.
And I had an inkling of Hank Williams,
Hmm.
which is Americana country swing.
Yeah.
But to crystallize the American influence that was in my songwriting, which I coupled with British folk, John Mayall
Hmm.
was the catalyst. He, I mean, the Beano album, Blues Breakers, is
Hmm.
it. I mean, I've got that in 12-inch, and I've got like 5 copies of CDs that keep getting stolen. But it's John was a tremendous influence, and I think he's shown the respect. But yeah, if I could get up and sing, "Have you heard about my baby?"
Hmm.
Where's she gone? I just don't know.
Now listen to this. I spent John's 80th birthday with him in
Oh,
Sarasota.
really?
I covered the show. I was in his dressing room.
Oh
Uh,
man.
I thought maybe somebody big would show up for that night, but nobody did, But I guess they did for his 70th birthday. Clapton was at his 70th birthday, but not his 80th. But
But
he was in,
if
he
he was
was
playing so much smaller,
yeah.
let's make that kind of celebration happen.
I was in his dressing room, copying down his set list because I covered the show. I also had him on the show a couple of times too. He's a great guy. I love John. Yeah,
That's really great.
I know his PR people and
Well,
worked with him in the past.
he's apparently he's not going to tour anymore,
No,
and he
he's
lives in
done.
Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
Woodland Hills. The studio that I work at,
Hmm.
called the Doghouse, that's in
Yep.
Woodland. And somewhere within a square mile is John.
Yeah.
I'd love to look him up and just,
You want me to send him a message to his
just tell
PR
him,
people?
just tell him that I love him, and that
Okay.
just tell him I love him and thank you.
Okay. Well, maybe you'll be a guest on his next album. You never know. He's got a
I
new
would,
album out.
I would love to. I would be there with in my best outfit.
When he was setting up on stage, he set his own equipment up on stage. And during the show, I mean, after the show and before the show, he was signing autographs and selling his own CDs. I mean, for a legend to do that, that's remarkable,
Well, you know, um, yeah, it's like country guys,
Hmm.
60s and 70s. Um, you know, uh, that's how it was done. And in the old days, when they were driving around Britain,
Hmm.
John had a mattress that I think he put in the front of the van, and the rest of the band was in the back, and they would just crash. They would drive 100 miles, pull
That's
over,
right.
and crash.
That's the way it was
And then
done.
they'd get to the gig and
Yeah.
probably take a shower or whatever, and if there was one to have. But that was how it was done. It's
Hmm.
like free on the road. They would drive 200 miles, play a gig, drive 200 miles back. And John, he's without John, there wouldn't have been a blues movement.
Right.
And
That's right.
in that case, there wouldn't have been a Fleetwood Mac,
That's right.
and there wouldn't have been a Jeremy Spencer, and there
Hmm.
wouldn't have been Eric Clapton, Peter Green, Mick Taylor.
I agree.
Those guys would not have been. And
Hmm.
you just have to say at some point, thank you. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, or you can just go and play Blues Breakers
Yeah.
or buy his new album. But
Yeah.
there is a guy that's responsible for more than we can actually calculate.
I agree. Yeah, the American blues were nowhere until he got involved and brought it all back.
Yeah.
Thanks to the
Well, the
Brits.
Stones. Yeah. Yeah. No, the Stones did a great deal. When they came to America, they had Howlin'
They
Wolf
did.
on a TV show and all that. And
Yeah,
they went, yes, and they did their bit. They really
yeah,
did. And Keith, many years later,
yeah.
was the first guy in London, and I was
Hmm.
living there, and
Right.
he was pushing reggae.
Yeah, that's
Nobody
right.
nobody was listening to reggae
That's right.
outside of Brixton. I
Yep.
mean, in the West Indian parts of London. But Keith had a reggae T-shirt on and was playing reggae sounds, and he would always be talking about, like, uh, the major names, Bob Marley, and
Peter Tosh. Yeah,
yeah, Jimmy Tosh,
yeah.
uh, and he was living in Jamaica.
That's right.
Without Keith, there wouldn't be the
Hmm.
acceptance of reggae in the mainstream. There wouldn't be a police.
That's right.
So these people are conduits.
Yep.
They're helping because they love music and they're steeped in music all their lives. They'd rather talk about somebody else's work than their
Hmm.
own.
That's true.
That makes them lovable.
Al- Also, want to mention the Yardbirds. Yardbirds did a lot with the blues too.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, Keith
yeah.
Relf.
And Alexis Corner,
Yeah,
the guy who was
yeah.
like, all those old guys, but they were purists.
Exactly.
And back to John Mayall, wow, Blood on the Night.
Yeah.
There's all these songs, Making Love Like a Sail in a Hurricane. There's all these lines that are just like, Jesus. And all these guitar players
Yeah.
were the best in Britain. That was the thing, Peter Green,
Hmm.
Mick Taylor, Eric Clapton,
Yeah.
all them, they were the guitar players.
John had a great voice too.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
and he
Have
plays
you heard
great
about my boy?
keyboards. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, this like green high tenor,
Yeah.
Have you heard about my baby? Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He still
Great.
sings good too, and he's in good shape.
I
He
hope
takes
so.
care of himself.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm going to contact his people. They know me, and I'm going to put a little bug in their ear.
Tell him I love him.
I will.
Hey,
I'll do that.
Let me
I,
talk
I
to
get
you.
people together sometimes. Why not?
Need the vocal on anything, I'll be right there.
Okay, cool. Next album, John Mayall and John Waite.
Yeah. Together again. Yeah.
Together again.
Yeah.
John, is there anything we missed? The new album. When's the new album coming out?
The Greatest Hits album is coming out in about 6 weeks to coincide.
Singles?
Yeah,
What about singles? Okay.
Yeah. And the documentary is coming out end of the year.
Okay.
Anything is out now. What was I going to say? If you want to go to Facebook,
Right.
I try my best to answer
Okay.
email. And it's interesting. There's a lot of information and photos and stuff. If you go to John Waite Worldwide, you can get a signed copy of the CD or any of the CDs, T-shirts, artwork, And what else? There's something else I was going to say. I forgot. But I mean, yeah, Facebook. Oh, John Waite Worldwide. Yeah, I mean, if you reach out, I reach back.
Okay. Are the prices for your artwork online or no?
Yeah, they go from like 150 to about 1,500.
Okay.
Some of them are just like written lyrics of Missing You with a small caricature at the bottom and it's signed. Some of them are full scale. I mean, there's Eric Saadi in there, by you mention it, and Artaud, the French surrealist poet. But I'm going to do a series on people that have moved me with interesting faces.
Okay.
You got an interesting face, you're a moving target to be drawn. Yeah, and if you want to pick it up, the CD should be in Target and major retailers. It's distributed. So, like I say, reach out, I reach back.
Very cool. I want to say very special thanks to Jody Best of Best Bet Promotion. She's awesome. I've done a lot of interviews with Jody. She's cool. Yeah. You can buy the EP Anything now. It's online and in any of the stores. Amazon.com has it. It's available. And singles is coming out this summer. And you mentioned www.johnwaiteworldwide.com. That's your
Yeah,
official website. You're on
yeah.
Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, and you got a lot of dates coming up, man. I
Yeah,
think you're
no.
starting out. Let me see here. You started June 9th. You're at in Reno, right?
Well,
June
yeah, but
9th?
we've been playing since last July, and we've been
Yeah.
out. Yeah, the major tour with Rick and Colin goes out in August, I think. But
St.
we're
Augustine.
we
Yeah.
just playing right up to it, and then after that, the Holland thing, we're going to Holland and all that. And there's more gigs coming in. We leave tomorrow. I leave tomorrow to go to Washington
Okay.
to play 4 songs.
To play 4 songs?
Yeah, I've been hired by the local council or whatever to step up with my boys and play the
Okay.
and 4 songs. They'll probably have to drag us off stage because once we get started, we can't stop.
Yeah,
But 4 songs,
yeah, that's hard. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
And of course, the big tour, like you said, August 5th, St. Augustine, that's when it starts with Rick
yeah,
Springfield and Men at Work.
yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. I enjoyed it too. I mean, you get up in the morning, there's nothing to do, no one to talk to. You have a cup of coffee, and then you want to talk to somebody, and there's nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you.
Well, we can't wait to see you in Florida.
God bless you.
God
I'll
bless you
be
too,
there.
John.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everything. I enjoyed it.
All right, man. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye now. Take care.